when I graduated high school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I knew it was something in business. So I was like, all right, what's going to be the best thing? Finance. So even in college, I was like, what do I want to do? Trying to figure it out. Had really no clue. I did a real estate internship where I met like one of my mentors, completely changed my life. But while I was doing it, I still wasn't like obsessed with it. I was like, there's something missing. So then the next summer, I started a company with my brother. It was cool. I liked it. Learned more about like the hustle, actually working hard. We made ketone test strips. So like that was like back when I was like getting into keto. I tried a bunch of different like diets and stuff, and one of them was keto. And
ketone test strips meaning?
So like when you get into a state of ketosis, your urine has ketones in it. So you literally pee on this strip.
Okay.
Yeah, and it'll like, change colors based off of if you're in ketosis or not, or how deep of a state of ketosis you're in. So we sold those on Amazon, had like a whole business website, doing like YouTube videos, everything.
That was before Amazon was like really hard to be on, or it was pretty?
No, that was back in 2019.
Oh, so still.
Yeah. And then still had like no idea what I wanted to do. So I was like, dude, you know what? I wasn't feeling that much pressure as to like getting out of college and getting right into business. So I was like, dude, I'm gonna go travel around Southeast Asia. Like,
I didn't even know this.
Yeah, I'm gonna go travel around Southeast Asia for as long as I can. Like, I'm like, let me make like 10 grand and then just go for as long as possible. And then when I come back, I'll figure it out. But like, at least I can get that life experience because I'm never gonna be able to get that again at that age with those experiences. So that was my plan. And then this like small thing happened that like kind of ruined the plans called COVID.
Yeah, small thing.
Yeah, so that obviously shut down the Southeast Asia trip. And I'm like, all right, let me see what I can do next. A kid in my fraternity sold pest control. Sold it over the summer. And I was like, he like pitched us on the idea. He's like, you can come out, you can make a lot of money. And so I asked him after the meeting, I'm like, dude, just like no bullshit. I don't really care about anything. Just how much did you make last summer?
Yeah.
And he's like, I made 30K. And I'm like, bet, like, let's do it.
It's like Wolf of Wall Street where he's like, how much did you make last month? He's like 70. He's like, you made 70 grand? It's like, bro, if you show me that's dope.
No, literally, bro.
So 30K the whole summer.
30K in the summer, yeah. And I'm confident. I'm a little cocky too. And I was like, bro,
it serves us.
I'm like, I can do better than that. I think I'm a better salesman than you. So go through with it. Like COVID starts getting really bad. But we go to Texas. And that was like one of the only states that was open. And it ended up being the best thing ever because everybody was home.
Yeah.
So like the company had like a record-breaking year. I was the top rookie in my office, top sales rep in my office, top rookie in the office, and like a top 10 rookie in the country out of like, I don't know, 1,000 rookies, and made like 100K that summer.
You like collected or you made?
Collect, same thing, yeah, right?
No, I mean like collected as far as like you sold 100K in pest control?
I sold 260K of pest control.
It's a good commission if you make.
It was like 40%, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so.
That's good. So I heard with pest control, I had some friends that did some pest control, and like obviously they weren't that great, but where they were like, bro, a lot of my deals are getting like canceled, so I'm like losing some of my commission that I was supposed to get. Was that a thing? Did that happen to you or no?
Yeah, it's all how you sell the deal though. Like you know how it is. Like if you solidify the deal, you set the expectations properly, you get their emotion high, and you back it with logic. Like, so they automatically assume a certain cancellation percentage. So it's like 20%. They start paying you out after the summer ends.
Wow.
And then in December, they reevaluate based off the cancellation rate.
Really?
And so I was getting like, I think it was like 4K every 2 weeks. And then after that December
So it's basically you grind all summer and then you get like a paycheck for doing nothing for the rest of the year.
For the next 8 months.
Okay, that's dope.
Yeah. And then after December, my paycheck actually went up because my cancellation was so low.
Really?
Standard, I think, is like 20%. Mine was 8%.
Really?
Yeah.
So you think that just came from you under delivering and then the service over delivering, or you just kind of set their expectation right to where they just felt like they got exactly what they paid for?
I just set their expectation properly and gave them a good deal usually. Enough that I was still making good money, but enough that they wouldn't cancel if someone else came and tried to undercut them. But I would switch people over that literally got sprayed the day before.
Really?
Yeah, full initial, like everything. And that summer really taught me work ethic. Like I thought I knew how to work hard, but bro, you show up, you have meeting at like 8:30, and then you go out, you drive to area, which is anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour away, and then you knock from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And most guys take lunch. I didn't take a lunch. I was like, bro, I'm just gonna grind through. I would bring like snacks and stuff. But I'm like, dude, I got 4 months. Let me just grind. And my goal was to hit 250K rev, which is 100K commission.
Your first summer.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And once I hit that, like, it was good because it was a big goal. And once I hit it, though, it was like kind of the last couple weeks of summer, I was so over it. I hated it every single day from the start, though.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, it just wasn't my thing. I didn't like being outside, grinding. I was making good money, too. I averaged like 3 deals a day.
Really?
Some days I'd have more, some days I'd have less, but average 3 a day. There'd be kids there that they wouldn't get a sale for 2 weeks.
Yeah, and that's so hard on their morale.
But they were still out there grinding. Yeah. And I'm out here making like three deals a day, sometimes 5, 6, 7. And I'm like, fuck this shit, dude. I hate it. So after the first summer, they tried to recruit me, tried to get me to come back, like offer me more commission the next year, all these little incentives. I'm like, bro, I'm not doing door-to-door again.
Yeah.
Moved back to California after the summer. Don't really know what I'm going to do yet.
Yeah.
Moved back to Utah. And then one of my friends calls me up and he's like, hey, there's this like opportunity out in Florida. If it's as good as they say it is, it's insane. So I want you to like come test it out. So I flew out to Florida. It's my first time ever being in Florida. When I flew out, my first day
from Cali, right?
From Cali, yeah.
Okay.
My first week, I made more money than my best week ever in pest control.
Really?
And I was like, shit, there's something to this. And then I did that for the next 4 years.
Really? So that's in solar. Okay, so I want to dive in on something. So it's like seems like there's this recurring theme of you. I don't think it's cockiness when you back it up with your actions. I think that's just having confidence in your own ability. Did you ever experience a scenario where it's like you're so good at things, it's like you talk the talk, but you can also walk it, where people would become envious of you, or people would, kind of be pissed. It's like, man, why? Like those kids that you said they were knocking, doors for 2 weeks and not getting any sales.
Yeah.
Have you ever had people look at you in that envious way, or has it always just been like people have congratulated your success? Because I know for me, lots of times, like any time that like I would be doing good, there would be a lot of people that like it really, really, really made them mad. But a lot, and like I've always been very, very controversial. But I see you, it's like you're just the type of the guy that's just like seems just like everyone loves. It's like in the content, just like super likable, all this stuff. So I'm curious as to if everyone was always just like look to you as like that leader and like, oh man, Bennett's leading the pack, this is super sick. Or did you ever experience any type of like envy from other people, like getting pissed, or were you just like blinders on just?
I feel like it's inevitable. Like there's kind of always going to be haters.
Yeah.
But I've also been the kind of guy that like I've always given very few fucks about what other people think. And so I've been lucky though that I have had a lot of support, and I just tend to like lean more on that. And when people are envious or make fun or whatever it might be, I've done a good job at being able to just kind of like laugh at it or use it as more fuel. But I'm like extremely competitive. In sports, I was always a shit talker. The more shit I talked, the better I performed. Yeah. Because I had to back it up.
Now you have to back it up.
Yeah, and it made them, like, the worst, bro, was if you would play, like, I'd play a lot of team sports growing up, and when you would play a bad team, like, it was never a fun game because you played down to their level.
Yeah.
You knew you didn't have to show up your best. And so that's never as fun. It's always really fun when it's, like, championship game, the last, like, couple minutes, score is tight. Like, you get the best out of yourself. And so I try to like artificially create that by talking shit or saying I'm going to go do something and then going out and doing it. And there's been a theme of that in my life of like saying I'm going to go do stuff, people doubting me, and then going out and actually doing it. And yeah, it just fires me up. I don't like being wrong. Yeah. So I'm okay with being wrong if I'm like, for like, we're talking.
You can take you're self-aware enough to take the criticism if you're wrong. But
100%. Yeah.
So do you feel like, when you see this theme across, okay, first year in pest control, you sold $250,000, and then you're coming into solar, you make more money in the week than you've ever made, and then you do this for 4 years. Do you feel like what really motivated you to do it, even though you didn't really enjoy it? Was it the money? Was it, I feel like I have a sense of purpose where I can actually show my skill? Was it just you were so disciplined that once you set the goal, you decided you were going to commit to it? What do you think actually drove you to sit and knock those doors, even though you didn't really enjoy what you were doing?
Bro, strictly money.
Just the money.
Strictly money.
Okay.
Like, that's why the first question I asked the dude was like, how much money did you make? He was like, 30K. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to go make more than that. And then I was like, what's an unreasonable goal? And like looking at the they had like a spreadsheet that showed like based off how much revenue you sold, how much you'd make. And then they had like the rookie average, like the average was 30K. And so I was like, all right, I want to go out and I want to like make originally what I thought I was capable of was 80K. And so I'm like, let me, of earnings,
Okay.
yeah. And so I'm like, let me push a little higher. Let me aim for 100K, see where we get to. And so did that. Hit it.
Yeah.
And then with solar, it's just like, I can make more money doing this. So then I did that, was doing it for a while and still hated it. Like it was better than what I was doing in pest control because it was a cooler product. It was more fun to sell and obviously bigger commissions too. But like there just wasn't that deeper purpose behind it. So I was never, I was making more money than I ever made before, but was like the least fulfilled I've ever been. And didn't feel like I had my time, didn't feel like I could do things that I actually enjoyed. I'm big on balance. Like I like having fun.
Yeah.
And I like working hard.
Dude was at space at 5 a.m. this morning.
Yeah,
He's
bro.
like, balance
Still got the wristband, bro.
Balance is king. So what do you think, when do you think you truly learned how to sell? Because it's like, okay, you might have sold 250K of like pest control and you like, there's a difference in like closing deals, but truly learning like how to like sell and actually knowing what to do every single solitary time and walking up to the door with confidence. Do you feel like, obviously you've always had a natural sales ability because of your personality. That's like the same thing I have. But do you feel like it was, second summer of selling solar that you really felt like I know how to sell rather than I'm just closing deals? When do you think that actually that transition actually took place? Where you went from like being convincing to being like a salesman?
Yeah. Honestly, the first couple weeks of pest control.
Okay.
Like I grew up like basically in a family of salesmen. And so just the way my dad would talk and the conversations we'd have, like I was always kind of naturally good at sales, but I didn't know the art of sales.
Yeah.
And then with pest control, like they had really good trainings. You got to learn, but most importantly, you got reps. Like when I started out, I was knocking around like 90 doors a day. And that's so many reps that you can get. And you learn really quickly. Like I'm really good at knowing what I did wrong and recognizing that and then instantly implementing the change. And so I just got really good at recognizing that to the point where literally all I was thinking about was pest control to where I was dreaming about selling in that summer. Yeah. And even taking it another level further, I have this weird like deja vu thing where I thought I was special when I was younger because I would have these dreams and then I would experience them in real life. Nothing ever significant.
Yeah.
And I thought like I had a superpower. And I looked it up on Google and there's other people that experienced the same thing. But I got to the point where I was literally seeing sales that would happen in pest control before they happened. I never think anything of it while I'm dreaming, but then it would happen in the moment. I'm
And
like,
then
holy
you look
shit.
back and you think,
I already dreamt about this.
it's crazy.
So
It's crazy that you say this because me and you both have not a problem, but I'd say the blessing of obsession, right?
Yeah.
It can be a problem if you don't know how to use it, but we have the blessing of obsession. And I've had the exact same thing, but for me, it's fun. It usually happens with bad things. So like a couple months ago, I wrecked a Lambo. I had a dream that I had to drive like an old dinky truck around. And then I found myself in my dream consciously being like, why am I driving this truck? And then it was like, oh, my Lambo's wrecked. The day after I had that dream, I crashed the Lambo. And like when I had my mountain biking accident, I had a dream that I crashed and like died. And then literally right after I crashed and got like impaled. And so it's kind of like opposite. What do you feel like? But I never thought about it when it happened.
Yeah.
Like it never scared me. And I think that that's a blessing that like, because I've had like a bunch of crazy dreams. Do you feel like that's been something, do you feel like it's genuinely like you were chosen for success? Or do you feel like you chose to let these dreams give you a confidence that you can, rely on your ability?
I've never paid too much attention to my dreams because a lot of them don't happen. It's just dreams, right? So I never like give them too much weight. But I feel like one of my superpowers is writing stuff down that I want to accomplish and then accomplishing it.
Yeah.
There's never been anything. I guess there's current goals that I'm working at, but in the past, there's never been anything that I've wrote down and haven't accomplished.
Yeah.
And so it's really cool, it's also a little scary because
Yeah.
it makes you like kind of almost second guess the things you're writing down.
Yeah.
And sometimes there is a fear of like achieving too much or being too big or whatever that case may be. And so it makes me very, very particular about what I write down because I know that if I write something down, I'm also going to have to put in the work required to accomplish it.
Yeah.
And there's certain seasons of life, certain things that I want to do. And so sometimes I want to enjoy myself a little bit more than I want to work. Sometimes I want to work more than I want to enjoy myself. And so with that, yeah, I'm just like very particular about what I actually write down and the goals that I have. But to really answer your question, like, yeah, I don't put too much weight on those dreams that when they happen, but then hindsight, I do a lot of reflecting on them.
So what would you say to a guy who's maybe in the college position? And I want to rewind, but I think starting here is like exciting and there's a lot of things we can learn from it. And then we can kind of go back into your story leading up. But the guy who's in the position of, he's in college or he just graduated and he, obviously on social media, every single 20-year-old who doesn't even seem like they can form a sentence has a supercar and they're making all this money. So it seems. What would you say to the guy who it's like he has all these ambitions and dreams, but he doesn't know if he can live up to that and he doesn't really like know what he can do? What if you could go back and talk to yourself that summer before like pest control, like what are some pieces of guidance that you would give yourself that you feel like would have propelled you closer to where you are now sooner, or some things that you wish you learned quicker?
Yeah. So every single year of high school, my mom would have a particular phrase that she would say to me before I would leave for school every single day. And it would change each year.
Really?
And one of the years it was know thyself. She'd always say that. And sometimes it'd be frustrating and like piss me off. I'm like, I get it. Yeah, know thyself.
Yeah.
I didn't understand it at the time.
Yeah.
And as I've gotten older, I think that that's like so important to actually know who you are, know your strengths, know your weaknesses, and what makes you happy, what makes you sad. And that's honestly working with my mentor in the real estate job that I was talking about earlier. He really helped me identify who I am, what like my purpose is, what makes me happy, all of that. And that's when it really clicked for me. And so with that, I feel like there's some people that they pursue certain things because they see other people doing them. And they think that because other people can do it, they can do it too, which like, sure, that's a possibility, but it's like, well, that person might be born or might have these natural abilities and skills that make him very good at that job or that, mission. And some people might envy that, but then vice versa, if you flip the script and you look at yourself in the mirror and it's like, well, what do I innately have that I'm naturally gifted with that if I really lean into this, I can make something special. And I feel like that's just what I've tried to do as I've gotten older in terms of looking at the things that I enjoy, the things that I'm naturally good at, and then leaning into that to be like, what's going to come to me the most natural that I have to put the least amount of effort into and have the most amount of leverage. And so that's what like the beauty was when I found you, because I didn't even know that this was a thing. Like I didn't know, when I think fitness coaches, bro, I'm like, these guys are barely surviving. Like they're making no money. It was never even an idea in my mind because I just thought they were broke.
Yeah.
And then I saw what you were doing and I'm like, shit, like, cause I knew I wanted to go into health and fitness, but I'm like, I don't know how to make money in health and fitness. I know there's a lot of money in the health space.
Yeah.
And then I saw what you were doing and it aligned with everything that I wanted to do. So I'm like, dude, again, this comes naturally to me. I like it. I'm passionate about it. People are already asking me for advice without me even doing this as a business. Yeah. And I could talk about it for free all day. So I'm like, let me double down on this and actually turn it into a business and learn how you monetized it, how to leverage it, how to make the most impact. And so because I knew all those things about myself, that's why I leaned into this. I didn't lean into this because I saw you making a lot of money and I wanted to make a lot of money. Like, I feel like initially that was my reaction to why I chose finance, where I'm like, if I go into the like investment banking world, those guys make a lot of money. I don't want to fucking do that. I don't want to be behind a computer all day crunching numbers. So that's not my thing. But other people, bro, they're nasty on the computer with the Excel and everything.
And they enjoy it.
Yeah. That's just not me. So if you're just doing something because you see someone else doing it and that's why you want to make money, I don't think that's the answer. It's like, what are you naturally good at? Yeah. And then double down on your strengths, recognize your weaknesses, and recognize if this is something that you should work on making not a weakness, or just say, hey, this is a weakness of mine and I don't want to spend time on that. Let me double down on what the fuck I'm good at.
Yeah, 100%. I think to bounce off of that as well, it's a lot of guys who are fighting friction towards success, it's because they're trying to chase the calling of someone else instead of creating their own calling. And I think as well, it's like, okay, you're not going to really like find your purpose. It's created, but you have to almost call yourself to the thing. And they kind of put themselves in someone else's shoes. Like someone might watch you and be like, oh, I'm going to be the next Bennett Luke. It's like, I think the most successful people, it's like, we have people that we look up to, but it's like, I want to be the first John Mark. I'm not trying to be the next, you know, so-and-so. Like I want to be the next Michael Jordan. It's like, why not be better and be the first of something? And I mean, it's been sick, and it just goes to show, like, you've had real world experience, but zero experience in the fitness market. So like, were you like me to where it's like you thought, especially with selling what you did before, you had to? I didn't even conceptualize that this life could exist for like a digital product. I didn't even know the market existed.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, oh, you have to sell a specific product to make a bunch of money. Did you like feel the exact same way?
In terms of like, wait, what's the question?
So what do you? I guess maybe it was my naivety in business, but I genuinely thought you had to have some physical product or like a software, you know, be in healthcare to like make a bunch of money. I didn't know there was literally people creating digital products, selling them for thousands of dollars and making a bunch of money. I didn't even know that was a market until, 3 years ago when I like really, really started this. And I started my entrepreneurship journey way before I even figured this, this thing out. Were you the same exact way right before you found me, or did you kind of already know that this thing existed? Because like you said, you thought that fitness coaches were just like, broke. When did you find that out? Like what kind of initially made that switch to where you were like, oh, wait, this is actually a market to where you understood it? Because I think there's a lot of people that'll watch this podcast that it doesn't make sense to them either. They're like, what is this?
Yeah.
Is this a scam? Is this what are people doing? How are you selling a nutrition program for $3,000? Did you feel the same way, and what kind of changed your mind on it?
I think honestly, just like as the internet evolved, it became a bigger space. I think it's always been there, but the internet really exposed in a good way. It shined light on people that were like actually crushing in the digital age.
Yeah.
I knew it was a thing before. I just didn't know the scale at which it was capable, because I'd hired coaches in the past. I'd paid them a lot of money. And so I knew that they were making good money doing it.
Yeah.
Again, I didn't know that they were doing the kind of numbers that you were doing, or that, not that they were doing that, but that was possible.
Yeah.
And so I think like seeing the last couple of years basically of solar, I followed a lot of people that were like crushing it digitally with products and seeing them scale. And I'm like, okay, there's something to this, and the internet's only getting bigger. It's only going to be a bigger marketplace. I got to learn to take advantage of this, because what I was doing before, I was literally knocking on doors, like walking around, doing business the old way. Was making great money, but I was like, there's just the ability to leverage what I want to do at scale. And if I don't take advantage of the internet right now, I'm going to be so mad looking back. Yeah. Like literally what made me quit my job was thinking about myself as like a grandpa, and like the vision that I had for the future that I wanted to make with my family, and like being on this giant estate, and I have like my grandkids running up to me and they're asking me about like my story. And they're like, Grandpa, like, can you tell us how you leverage like the power of the internet and social media to like build this empire? And I'm like, no. Like I went around and I knocked on doors. Like we did like the old brick and mortar way. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, like I can't do that. Like I have to leverage this. Like it's going to be I'm going to be kicking myself if I'm 80 years old and I didn't do that, because like this is just a ripple. This is a ripple of a tidal wave that's coming in terms of the scale at which you're going to be able to make money on the internet. And on top of that, I think we're like, people are like, oh, it's only a matter of time. I think we're just in the beginning. Yeah, we're just in the dark ages of people making money. There's literally a massive wave coming, and this is just the first little ripple. Like the internet's just going to keep growing bigger and bigger. And the cool part with that, like you're able to impact more people. And so I wouldn't have met you had it not been for the internet. I wouldn't have met like all the other guys in the community. Yeah. And I was talking to my friend about this morning, where I was like, I'm so grateful for it, because I don't have a single friend that can relate to me in what I'm doing currently. Yeah. Whereas before, when I was selling pest control, everybody around me was selling pest control. When I was doing solar, everybody else was doing solar. When I was in college in a fraternity, everybody's doing the same thing. Yeah. Now I don't have anybody doing the same thing as me. Yeah. And so getting in that community and making friends and like talking to them about the issues and the wins that we go through, like that was incredible. So I think that's like something that's going to continue to develop with the internet, where you're going to be able to meet people that are into the same exact interests and hobbies that you have, which is just going to make the marketplace even better. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, massive. So I've got a big question for you, but I want to hold it for just a second. We can go ahead and intro. So it's been 5 months since we met each other? 6?
I don't remember. I think I started in October.
Okay. So
September, I think.
7 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember I was on a plane when we first talked in the DM. But guys, welcome back to the podcast. We'll figure out what I'll do with that intro. Either I'll leave and it'll be interesting, or we'll come here. We're here in Miami with my client, Bennett Luke. He came down here for a couple days. We just got a workout in earlier, and now we're here on the podcast. He joined the program about 6 to 7 months ago, and now he's already doing $50,000 months. He came in with like 1,900 followers, almost no posts at all, no personal brand, and by now he's literally almost about to pass me, and he doesn't even run any ads or anything. What are you, 33,000 followers now?
This morning, yeah,
33,000 followers, amazing at content. He's a staple of like what we actually do in 100X Mindset. But in this podcast, the last thing that I want to focus on is, all the things about fitness coaching. I want you to be able to learn from his story, but I really want to focus on his story, because I think that as a fitness coach, the biggest thing that makes coaches successful is, like you said earlier, them knowing themselves. And I think one of the biggest parts of personal development and why it's so important for coaches is, if you don't know yourself, you get to learn yourself through the personal development. And obviously you came in with success in other areas. You'd made a bunch of money in solar, you made a bunch of money in pest control and all of these things, and you were in shape. But for basically the starting question about your story, what do you think is one of the biggest impactful moments or memories from your childhood, and you can take a couple minutes to think about this, that you think led you into being who you are today? And you can just pick one. It doesn't have to be the most important. But like, if you can think back, maybe it's like you said earlier, it's something that your mom instilled in you, or you feel like a tradition that your family had, or a way of thinking that you think set you up to actually know yourself. And then I kind of want to dive into how you've applied that to your content to be so authentic online, and then kind of talk about sales and stuff like that. But if you could dive in, like, what do you think is that one thing that allowed you to truly know yourself? Because for me, I feel like it was the way I was raised. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, the way I was raised definitely had like the biggest impact out of everything. I was super, super fortunate, like had incredible parents. I'm the youngest of 4 siblings. So I got to look up to them, see everything that they did before me, learn from their mistakes, their successes, and had really good people around me as well. Just like godparents, aunts, uncles, family, friends, the people I went to school with. Like, I was really fortunate to grow up in a very solid environment. And I think like the biggest impact on me growing up was like, for sure, sports.
Okay.
Like, my dad was like huge into sports. He played football his entire life, was an All-American swimmer, played college football. And that was like my first true love.
Yeah.
I hated school. Like, I went to a private school my whole life, so we had to wear uniforms. We had to we'd get detentions for not wearing a belt or not tucking our shirt in. Yeah. And I just hated being told what to do. Yeah. And sports was like the outlet for me. Like, even just at recess, recess and PE were my favorite times of the day at school. And then after school, getting to go to sports practice, that's where I made some of my best friends that I still have to this day. But within that too, it taught me so much about myself, and also instilled so many good habits into me in terms of discipline, work ethic, perseverance, seeing things all the way through. The one rule my dad always had was whatever you start, you finish. And so he always played football, and I loved watching football growing up. And so I got into football because he was into football, and started with flag football, then got into tackle football. But I didn't love tackle football because I didn't like getting hit. I liked hitting people, but I didn't like getting hit. And the first couple weeks, I was always almost regretting the decision to play. And I'd be I don't want to play anymore. I kind of want to quit. And he's like, you can quit after the season's over. You don't need to play next year, but you signed up, you made a commitment to your team, you made a commitment to yourself. You're going to see this thing through. And it was really frustrating growing up, but it was so important that he instilled that into me. And the ironic part was I continued to play year after year until 8th grade. That was the final year that I didn't play. And I remember really hyping myself up to have this conversation with him to be like, I don't want to play anymore. I thought I was going to like let him down. And I was so worried to talk to him. And I finally like had the conversation. He's like, okay, no worries. Like, what do you want to do instead?
Yeah.
And I just pivoted to a different sport. I ended up playing volleyball because my brother was playing volleyball and they had Junior Olympics.
Yeah.
I'm like, Junior Olympics? Like, that sounds sick. I want to do that.
Yeah.
So played volleyball all 4 years of high school. Played water polo as well.
Wow.
Like the two most like California sports you could play.
Yeah.
And same thing, like my freshman year of water polo, like I lived 30 minutes away from my high school. We'd have 6 a.m. practice. So I'd have to leave at 5:30, which means I'd had to be up by like 5. So I was waking up every single day of summer at 5 a.m., going and working out for 2 hours, driving 30 minutes back. And then all throughout high school playing sports. But even again, through my like younger years, that taught me so much. It made me super competitive. And it's where I shined. It's where I like really, really just had fun. And it was my flow state. And so graduating, getting out of college and getting into the real world, quote unquote.
Yeah.
I was like, how can I replicate that? And like business is my new sport.
Yeah. 100%. I think that's how all the top level guys feel as well. So do you think that, because it seems like just from your old YouTube videos, your child was a lot like mine with, I think a lot of families, when they have problems, they kind of stuff the problems down. They try not to talk about it. My family was very, especially like my mom especially was very like, let's talk about this. Like, let's have controversy. Like, let's have the fight and let's get this out. Was your family the same way? Because it feels like you were raised similar to me. My dad never forced me to do any sports, but he's like, you're not going to quit and you're going to do something. If you quit this sport, what are you going to do instead? You're not just going to sit at home and do nothing. And that really forced me to do things that I didn't want to do and understand seeing them through. But was your family like, hey, let's face these problems and let's talk about this, when it came to anything? Or was it kind of like, oh, let's not have problems. Let's make everything okay.
No, you're spot on. Like I was really, I'll say fortunate and lucky that this all worked out, but like my parents, I never got grounded.
Yeah.
Like they didn't really believe in grounding. And instead what they would do is we just talk about what happened.
Yeah.
I was a good kid. I didn't do like a bunch of bad stuff.
Yeah.
But if anything ever did happen, they'd always just sit me down. We'd talk about it. And even like if I had different opinions, I'd come home from school and like want to talk about something, be like, why do you guys do this? Why do you believe this?
Yeah.
And we just talk about it at dinner. So like one thing I really value that my parents did is every single night, like no matter what, we'd always make sure we all sat down for dinner together.
Yeah.
And that would be where we'd all talk. Like that was a big emphasis. We'd wait for everyone to get home. Didn't matter how late people, like my dad was working or my siblings were at practice. We'd wait for them to get home. And then we eat. My mom would always make sure the candles were lit.
Yeah.
Like it was very traditional, but extremely important. And I don't think a lot of people do that nowadays.
Yeah.
And so, like you said, it's kind of the same where very open dialogue.
Yeah.
And more focused around problem solving rather than you did this wrong, go to your room and think about it.
Yeah.
Like it was like, let's talk about it.
Yeah. And because then you get feedback. And like you said, what you told me that stood out earlier is like you had a very quick feedback loop of like, oh, what I'm doing wrong and here's how I can apply that. And I think that literally comes from the dialogue of discourse with your family and other people. And also it's like having siblings and stuff, you get to analyze. I feel like that's how you can know yourself so much faster is you're having conversations with other people. You're having conversations with your family. You're seeing what's right and what's wrong. Now, the difference in my family is like I got beat. Like my mom would beat me with a switch. My dad would beat me with a belt, but I needed it. Like I was rebellious. And I mean, like biblically, like I'm going to do the same thing with my kids. Like I think I needed it. It's like, there's this verse in the Bible and it's like, spare the rod, spoil the child. So it's like to each their own, but it's like my little sister, she like never got spanked because she just didn't do anything wrong. But there were times where I needed it, and it taught me a lot about, hey, like there's boundaries and there's things that you can't do. And I think that kept me from being spoiled and actually never letting my ego become too big of like, oh, no one can check me. Right? Because like even though we're confident, even though we understand our ability, it's like still understand that like I can be wrong and I could fall and stuff like that. So my family was super, super like dialogue focused, talking about our problems. And I think that helped me really understand myself and be able to look from the outside. How do you think you've used that to apply to, you know, your story with creating content? Because even we were talking about it the other day, like you were like, dude, my first couple of reels like sucked so bad.
Yeah.
And you've gotten so fast because that feedback loop is high, but you've also become obsessed with it. Like in 5 or 6 months, it's literally become your life because you're documenting it every single day on the stories and using our systems. But if you can maybe like operationalize it, what are some things that you feel like you've used? And again, I know that this is a very like jam-packed question, but what do you think that you've used from some of those conversations, maybe some lessons that you've learned from the sports and not quitting, that you've applied to your brand in order to grow it so fast or become so successful?
Yeah, so I think like stepping back, I've always been obsessed with like data. I loved fun facts growing up, and I loved seeing like patterns and trends.
But like not numbers focused, but more so like
Anything.
Really?
Yeah.
So
like,
even when it comes to numbers and stuff like that?
Everything.
Really?
Like,
Okay.
And so like when I was a kid watching sports, like there'd always be the older kids playing before you and whatnot. And I'd like find the best player and I'd see him like eating a Tiger's Milk bar. And I'm like, oh, that must be part of his like recipe. Like, okay, I need to eat Tiger's Milk bars. And I'd see like the cleats that they were wearing or like the warm-ups that they were doing. So like I'd take all that data and then like try to apply it. Obviously some of it is pointless, but the principle was there. So then like Tim Ferriss, he was like one of the first podcasters. He would interview like top athletes, top business people. And same thing, he would just try to find the common thread. Like, what are your habits? What's your night routine? What's your morning routine? And so I've always been obsessed with that and trying to optimize for, again, seeing what other people have already done that's worked. And it's the same thing going back where I'm the youngest kid of my family. I'd see what my other siblings did that worked and what they did that didn't work. I'm like, okay, this is what I should do. This is what I shouldn't do. And in pest control, like one of the best investments they ever made was they had like all of the data for every single rep, and they gave each person a digital baseball card. So it would show like your stats. So it'd show what your average initial was, what your average contract value was, your auto pay, your cancellation rate, everything. And I was obsessed. Like
with increasing the status of your baseball card.
Not just mine, but everybody else's. Really? I knew everybody's stats. I knew what their average initial was, what their what their retention rate was. And then obviously I knew mine too. Yeah. But I would like study the top guys. And then also they had like in-field video footage of what the top guys were doing. And so there it's just like a really fast feedback loop of seeing what are they doing? What are they saying on the door? What's their body language? Like what's their tonality? Like when the prospect says this, what are they saying? Like how are they carrying themselves? And I've always been a visual learner, and I like learn from other people doing stuff as well. 100%. So
I learn from my own mistakes. I've made some stupid mistakes over and over and over again before I've learned.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's the best way to learn, honestly. Like you remember it.
Yeah.
And so the same thing is applied to content where I'm just like, okay, let me put out videos. You can go in the data and see like, what's the average, how long are they watching it? How many likes does it have? How many shares does it have? And I don't need to like write it out. I'm just good at internalizing it, and I see what works. I double down on that. I see what doesn't work. Then I question, why didn't this work? What could I have changed and done better? And then I test that, and hopefully I'm right. And if not, and then I go back to the drawing board. So
it's funny you say that too, because like this is literally like how I teach people in my mentorship. And I tell everyone, I'm like, you have been an exact replica of it. Like if I could go say, hey, here's exactly how you should follow the program, you've done the exact same thing. Every single solitary time we had those one-on-one coaching calls, it's like you would have already looked at the data, and you're not just being like, hey, here's my content, can I have feedback? You've looked at the data, you've seen the watch time, and you would have specific questions. Yeah. You'd be like, okay, so this is getting more views, but how do I make more people DM me from these videos? Because then I can actually help you. Do you think that's something like you've always had, or did you learn that in pest control and sales, and you were able to apply that to the fitness coaching? Because what I'm trying to do is for someone out there who I'm trying to paint the pattern of almost every single guy who's had some type of success in something else before they've joined, they've made a ton of money in the program. But usually we have, if we have guys who it's like failed grades, no job, never done anything, it's more of a development process. Now for you, you've become successful way faster than I have, but you're way older than me, and you had also had success in life before you started this. To me, I had literally almost had virtually no success, like not a single accomplishment I could do or I could talk about before I got into the fitness coaching. So it took me a lot longer to emulate that system, but we came to the exact same conclusion. Is that something you felt like you were just born with, or you learned through sports, through pest control, through sales, through college, that you were able to apply into this business that you do now?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of a combination of everything. Like, again, see my siblings, what they did, and like them getting in trouble or them seeing success. And then going into sales. And like, again, with the pest control, like there was such an immediate feedback loop because you'd knock 50 doors, 100 doors a day. The better you got, the fewer doors you knocked because you were talking to people longer. And so it's the same thing where it's just like obsessing over the details and what works and what doesn't. I feel like too many people just kind of go through the motions and expect to learn rather than actually analyzing what they did, having a hypothesis around why it worked, why it didn't. I don't think people like hypothesize very much.
Yeah.
They just throw shit out there and they're like, I hope this works.
It's funny you said that too, because this morning it was 5 a.m. and I'm doing some work and I'm like, I created an SOP for asking me questions because what I've noticed is the most successful guys know how to do it by default. I didn't have to give you an SOP to ask me questions. You just came on the calls and you talked like that. But I literally put 1, 2, 3, and 4. I was like, number 1, what is your question? And I was like, number 2, what have you done leading up to this question that led you there? Number 3, what's the data? And number 4, what's your hypothesis? Because a lot of times people answer their own questions. Or they'll, if someone asks me like, hey, can you give feedback on my content? It's like, no. But if you ask me, what's the question? Hey, can I have feedback on my content for how I make better hooks? And then they're like, yo, what did you do leading up to it? I've posted 10 videos. I've been really trying to speak to the dream state and the pain point of the hook. The data is that, I'm getting a very high watch time. People are watching halfway through, but I'm not getting a lot of follows from it. My hypothesis is that the videos are really good and they're performing well, but I just seem like everyone else, and that's why I'm not getting follows. Because you tell me that, obviously I could have sat there for 20 minutes and explained that to you, but you tell me that, now I can answer your question in 2 minutes and say, well, let's look at this. Here's exactly what you can do better. Your hypothesis is slightly correct, but here's what you should do. Boom. And now you can actually have that feedback loop a lot quicker. And I think that what you were just mentioning was talking about what I call, emulating. You would say you would look at the data of other people, you would see what other people would do. And a lot of people, I think they copy. They don't emulate. So you would look at other people's data and then you would try and then you would create your own style, and that is what's made you successful. Same as me, a lot of ideas of content that I made, a lot of, the way that I lived my life, it wasn't like I was some genius and I just created it. I saw the steps that other people took and I tried to take the same steps, but in my own direction. How do you feel like you've created the gap between copying someone and emulating and learning from them, but creating your own style?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's only a certain level of education that's beneficial. Like one of the things my dad always talked about, because I was thinking about, before I knew what I wanted to do, I was thinking about maybe getting an MBA. And he's like, if you're going to get an MBA, like don't do it right after you graduate. Like go out into the real world, get real world business experience because like, and even with sales, it's like, I can only teach you so much about sales before you go out and actually try and sell someone. And then you're actually going to learn 100%. What you know and what you don't know.
100%.
And so it's the same thing with content where it's like, you can try and tell me everything you know about content and what to do and how to do it. But until I actually go out and film it and be like, oh, I fucked up the audio, or like this angle looks bad, or this lighting's terrible, or this is a really bad hook. Like there's got to be a point where the rubber meets the road.
For sure.
And I feel like I've just like really, I've tried to internalize what you say and then go out and apply all of it and then like really think about what's going on, why it's working, why it's not working. And then from there, I'm able to just ask you much better questions because I've actually done it.
Yeah.
And I've seen how it's worked.
Yeah.
And part of like, just like knocking doors, like I've posted a reel every single day. I've posted 20 stories every single day for the last 100 and however many days.
Yeah.
And it's all reps. Like I said, the first couple reels I did sucked. Like they're booty cheeks.
They were bad.
Yeah. And I thought they were good when I did it. I'm like, damn, this is like 15 takes to get this. Like this is the one. And I look back and I'm like, dude, what are you doing? And the same thing's going to happen today. Like the reels I'm making now, I think they're good. I'm going to look back in a year from now and be like, what was I doing?
Oh, 100%.
But that's just natural. That's the way it should be. If you're waiting until it's perfect, you waited too long. And so, yeah, I'm just like not afraid to fail. I'm not afraid to look stupid. I don't want to. Like ideally I look, competent.
Yeah.
But I'm not afraid to go out and just like to try it, give it my best effort.
Yeah. Yeah. which is super.
I don't know if that answered your question.
No. That definitely answered my question. I think one of the things for sure is like people will go and they're like, oh well, I need to do all this on my own and then I'm gonna figure out, because a lot of people, what they won't say is like, you would have been successful regardless as a fitness coach even if you didn't buy my program. It just might have taken 2 years.
I was gonna say,
This thing, you were going to be, I'm not sitting here being like, oh, without me. Anyone that says that, they're BSing. Like, you already had the talent. You probably would have been successful without my program. Who knows? Maybe you would have been, made more money. But it's you being able to come in and instantly get that feedback loop that would have taken longer. Because I can take my skill, look down and be like, yo, good, boom. I can just make your feedback loop even faster so that you can know, and it also validates what you're doing. And this is what I didn't understand about, like, mentorships and coaches. And I think a lot of the top talent is like this, because I look at you as like one of the top talented guys. It's like a lot of times the top talent doesn't want to invest in mentors because our whole life we've kind of just like figured it out. But I think that mentors are even better for the top talent because it allows them to reduce that feedback loop, because I know that I perform a lot better when someone who's in the position I want to be in validates what I've done. I'm usually like, I have a pretty good guess of like, I think I'm doing this in the right direction. Like your reels that were ass compared to some other guys' reels that were really bad, it's like yours are a lot better, definitely. But then that feedback loop, you might have not even posted once a day at all because you didn't even know what to do. You probably would have never known, hey, it's in the stories. You would have learned it eventually the same way I did. But that feedback loop is what allowed it to, come faster. And not to like keep too much focus on like this. Well, what do you think is the biggest lesson that you learned early in the beginning that allowed you to? Because, you defaulted the same exact questions. It's like, oh, yo, like, let's get my VSL up. Let's do this, within a week. What do you think is the biggest lesson that you learned that allowed you to realize, oh, okay, the more reps that I come on these calls with, the more feedback that I can actually get, and the faster I can just, boom, go in and execute. And what I think what you did a really good job of was understanding that there's no negative reps. So many guys they're scared of like, oh, well, I don't want to post until like I have my physique is in the best shape I've ever been in, or till I know everything because I don't want to do anything wrong. It's like doing things wrong is the only thing that allows you to know what to do right. Like you've gotten in, I would say 10 times better shape over the course of the mentorship than you were even before. Yeah. I think it's because it gave you the permission to obsess over fitness as much, because it's like, oh, now I'm going to get the outcome of this money.
Yeah. Where was I going to go with this?
I asked what's the biggest lesson that you think has allowed you to do that?
So going back, like, yeah, bro, like I guarantee I would have been successful without you, like 100%. The question though is how long would it have taken me? Yeah. And it would have taken me way longer. How much longer? I don't know, but like, at least a year to get to where I'm at. And I probably wouldn't even be where I'm at in a full year. And I think the biggest difference is like, everybody knows the big things. Yeah. Like the difference maker and what you helped me with was the very, very small, minuscule details. Mm-hmm. And it could be something like the Calendly link and like how you set that up.
But that's the difference between like deals and no deals.
No, exactly. Like that was that's a huge needle mover. Or like, even for me, one of the biggest impacts that you had was the very first video you had me make, which was basically like, cause I made like 2 edits before and I just felt off because I was like posting this fitness stuff and like, I was like, maybe people are going to think I'm trying to be an influencer. They're going to be confused why I'm posting this. And you told me, you're like, dude, just make a reel talking about your story, what you're doing now, and that there's going to be a lot more content like this coming out. Like just basically like share your new identity. And that gave me so much more permission to like actually double down and do what I'm doing now. Yeah. But again, like everything that you've helped me with, it's not the big things. Everybody understands the big things. Yeah. You can get all of the big details online. Same with fitness coaching, where it's like, dude, you need to do, like, you can look up any workout online, like, certain macros to hit, but it's like the tiny little details that take clients from where they're at to where they want to be. Yeah. Like everybody knows the big things.
And when you talk about those tiny details, that's what actually makes them buy, because they understand that the tiny details are the big gap that they're missing. So many fitness coaches, they're talking about tracking your macros to get the goals that you want. It's like, oh, if you're not putting on weight, calorie surplus. Like, who doesn't know that? You can Google this, but what are the minuscule problems that are keeping the person that you're talking to from doing that. It's like, hey, speaking to the problem of, hey, dude that's trying to put on, muscle, but you can't because, your metabolism is too fast. The actual problem lies in you're working all day and you're bringing your meals to, to work, and you're eating and you're meal prepping. But the thing is, you're burning so much calories at work that you're not even taking into account. And you're doing cardio when you go to the gym because you are scared of putting on a little bit of extra weight, and you're not taking that into account and upping your macros to this certain point. And then you as a fitness coach coming in and saying, here's what you're going to do. You want to have 2 meals in the morning before your shift so that your body can metabolize that before you start burning calories. And then boom. And then they make that one little change and it's all worth it. And if you speak to that in the content, they're like, oh my gosh, this guy's coaching me for free before I've even bought his program. That little change, it's like you never would have figured that out on your own, or it would have taken you so much longer. It's the same thing when it comes to the business.
I don't think I've signed a single client that hasn't implemented things that I've already been talking about.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And I mean, I give almost all of the sauce away in my content. It's just the tiny little specifics. Like if you go back and you take every coaching call that we've had together, like you could now with the knowledge go back and connect where I've talked about it in my content before. But everything is, the dots only connect in reverse. So you can't do it. You can't do it moving forward.
No, that's the thing. I even told you because you're coming out with the new program.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm so excited to go back and start the program over from scratch because like we were talking about earlier, now that I've actually been on the course for the last couple months or like I've been in the trenches, when I go back, I have a completely different perspective watching all of those videos because there's so many things that went like completely over my head that I didn't even realize that like going back as like a fresh start, bro, it's going to be insane.
Yeah, I say all the time, it's like when you would listen to like a secular song when you were a child and you're like bumping all the lyrics, and then you listen to it when you're 18, you're like, I did not know that that's what I was singing. Because it's the same song, nothing about it changed. You just have new experiences and new thought processes to process the song with. So big question is, do you think that your ability to make content has led to your success so quickly within this program, or your sales experience that you had prior in solar and in pest control, and having that ability to close the deals and actually sell? I mean, you're selling $4,000 and $6,000 fitness coaching programs now, which a lot of people are like, what? That doesn't make it, but people do it willingly and they get great results and they love it.
Yeah. Dude, it's funny because coming into the program, I was like, oh, with my sales background, like this is going to be clutch. Like I'm gonna be able to close so many people because of my sales experience. And it's ironic because like the way that your system is set up, I haven't had to do any sales. Like I don't have to reclose people on the call. Like it is automatic. And the reason it's automatic is because of the content. So the content is the most important thing, hands down. And I think what's really helped me is like coming in and just being really authentic with who I am and sharing what I do and sharing why I do it and being vulnerable and talking about the things that I'm going through. And the stories are the moneymaker. Yeah. Like on every sales call, I always ask like, what was the video that you saw, or like what made you finally reach out? And every single time it's the stories. A couple times it's the VSL, but that's usually led from the stories. Yeah. Which like makes them
They either go from the stories to the VSL. And guys, if you're watching this and you aren't really educated on my program, when we say VSL, we're not talking about a typical sit down, convince someone VSL. The VSL that we run, it's curated for every single one of our clients, and it's really just an in-depth presentation of your story that creates authority in the buyer's head.
Dude. And now I think I even told you this too, like, because when I was filming it, I didn't really understand it. Yeah. And now that I understand how it works, like I want to refilm it and I want to make it longer. I want to provide way more detail, have it be way less educational and more just information about my story and how it relates to what the prospect or my future client is going through. Yeah. And so like it actually blows me away how important the content is because again, like we talked about, the information's all out there. The reason people want to work with me is because they relate to me. They can tell that people always tell me in this, like I'll ask them like in the DMs, there's a million different coaches out there. Like, why'd you reach out to me? Yeah. And
that's the best push away qualifying question. Because all the other coaches are like, oh bro, like glad you're here. My program's perfect for you. And like, I do the exact same thing. It's like, why reach out to me out of everyone else? Because now they're just sitting there and they're proving, they're revalidating why you're the best right in front of you.
And it always has to do with like, they feel that I'm being really real and authentic. I'm not like other fitness coaches that just post straight like educational content that they can get anywhere for free.
Yeah.
And they feel like they already know me before they get on the call, which I felt the same way with you.
Yeah.
And so it's just funny, like seeing it full circle after like buying your program.
And you bought through the DM.
Bro, I didn't
even get on the sales call.
Bro, straight up, bro. I was pissed that you were even trying to sell me in the DM. I'm like, just send me the damn link already, bro.
I remember I was sitting in first class and I'm like sending these things. And I remember too, it's like, it was very vivid. It was so frictionless because that was when, it was only a couple months into me actually doing the business coaching. I was very confident in my system, but I was like, this is like the easiest money I've ever made.
I just remember you being like, how much do you have to invest? And I was just like, enough. Like, I'm not telling you anything. Like, just send me the link, bro.
Yeah. And then, but it was sick. And then we got on the call and it's just like, boom, you instantly, I immediately knew. It was like, this guy's a killer. This guy wants to learn. And you told me, you're like, look, bro, I'm not in a rush. Whatever you tell me, I'm going to execute on. And the magic in that is that because you weren't in a rush, it happened quickly. I tell this to people all the time. It's like the reason why you feel like it's taking so long is because you're in a rush. Because when you're in a rush, you do things sloppy, you try to push it fast, but usually it happens very, 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 very fast or quickly when you're not worried about the time that's passing. Because if in your head you're like, I need it to happen in 2 months, it's probably going to take you 2 years. But if you're just like, hey, I'm just going to do my absolute best every single solitary day over the next year, it might happen in 3 months. I say this all the time. I'm like, I had to work like if it didn't happen next month, my chances were over. But in my mind, I had the assurance that if this doesn't work for 5 years, I'm still going to show up every single solitary day, and I'm willing to work for 5 years and see no effort. So I had urgency, but in my mind, I was like, that I wasn't, because people create friction. Oh, it has to happen in 2 months. Usually, I'll give an example. I have this whiteboard in my room, and I just looked at it today, and it was like 100X Mindset will do over $300,000 in a 30-day period before March 31st. And this month, it's like the 27th of April. We've done 330. Last month, we didn't hit over 300, but it was close. But we've done 330 this month. It always takes a little bit longer. But in my head, I wasn't like, oh, March 31st, it has to happen. Yeah. It was just kind of like a goal I made for myself. But I was like, oh, it's going to happen soon. And when March 31st came and we didn't hit it, I was like, we're right there. And I think so many guys, when they're starting out, it's like, no, it has to happen there. And so they make little slip-ups and they make bad moves instead of, placing a time constraint from themselves so they work hard, but releasing all of the emotion within, like, it has to happen now. That's why you are successful.
One of my favorite quotes is, direction is more important than speed.
100%.
And that's kind of how it was when I came to you. Like, I was willing to not make money for a year.
Yeah.
And I was fortunate enough that the position I was in earlier, I had enough money set aside. And on top of that too, like that first summer selling pest control, I made $100,000, and it gave me the peace of mind knowing that if worse comes to worse, like I can go out and knock doors and make money.
Yeah.
Like, so I always had that ability to kind of like shut that flight or flight part of my brain off, because I knew, hey, money's not going to be an issue for me. I'll always be able to make money. I just want to figure out a way to do it in a way that I love. And so that's why I came to you. And I'm like, bro, like I got the time. I want to learn how to do this right. And again, I was more worried about the direction things were going than how fast it was going to take.
What do you think you would have done if you didn't have that 100K in your pocket to sit on? Do you feel like you still would have been able to have the peace of mind of like, I can make this happen? Or do you think it would have made you, obviously there would have been more nerves involved? Because for me, I didn't have anything, and it was really, really, really hard because I was like, I burned all the boats. I was like, I'm not going to have any other direction. I actually turned down. I had worked for a really, really long time to get this job at this big construction firm where I could maybe become a superintendent and make $180K a year. So I was like, okay, I finally got this job interview, and I remember going in, crushing the job interview. It was good. They offered me a job, and I told my parents I wasn't going to take it, and I was going to go be a personal trainer at Crunch, because in my head I was just like,
it's like a parent's worst nightmare.
Yeah, they were horrified, bro. My mom.
They're thinking what I was thinking, where I'm like, bro, you're gonna be broke your whole life.
Yeah. And my parents were like, all my other friends are like going to college, even though all those kids have literally done absolutely nothing that my parents were comparing me to. My parents were like, oh my gosh. And I didn't have any previous accomplishments for them to like rest assured that I was going to like figure it out. I was just like, nope, I'm going to go to Crunch. But I was so convicted by the fact that it doesn't matter how long it's going to take. I don't care if I have to sacrifice my ego, who I am. I don't care if I have to sleep under a bridge. I remember telling myself this and writing it in one of my journals. I was like, I don't care if I'm homeless under a bridge. If you give me 5 years, I will make stupid amounts of money. I was like, bet on me. And I literally went to Crunch to make $12 an hour, saw the way that they were selling people for $4,000 programs where they were literally getting nothing. And I was like, bro, if I'm doing this to make, I don't even get paid the money when I sell. I get paid per session, and Crunch is making, this much money. Like, I know for a fact I can sell programs for this much online. And because it was almost just like, wow, if these retards are selling this, I know I can for sure.
Yeah.
And it just gave me that, and I just went to town. But I was so hungry, but I had the peace of mind of, I was like, you know what? Like, I made peace with being like, if I have to sleep in my car, I'll do it. If I have to sleep under a bridge, like, I'll do it, because I became so obsessed with like just the ability to show up and play the game every single solitary day is what drives me. Because at the end of the day, if I have a job that brings me in money, but I hate it, that's so much worse than me having no money, but having the freedom to try and play the game and level up.
Dude, it's funny because it goes back to like knowing yourself, I feel like.
Yeah.
Because and also being humble enough to like take that step. Like, I'm sure it was tough for you to like tell your parents that you wanted to do that and tell your friends that that's what you're doing, but you saw the vision. And so like it was funny because when I quit my job selling solar, like I'd made more money than probably every single one of my friends, minus like one I can think of. And I moved back in with my parents. And from the outside, like people would probably judge me. They were probably confused. But I had belief. I knew what I was doing. I knew myself. And on top of that too, like I know that I perform well under pressure. So that wasn't a very high pressure situation. I was just humble enough to take that and go live with my parents. And part of my plan was to go out, have some fun, get some time back that I missed out on the last couple of years working.
Yeah, I literally remember seeing like, right when you joined the program, you're just like, bros, like you're at like Burning Man. I'm like, oh no, this dude's just not even gonna work hard. Like, what's going on?
Yeah,
and then
bro.
it just turns out it's just completely opposite.
Yeah.
Which just goes to show, I mean, that's, you literally preach like balance is key. And it just goes to show we had a lot of similarities as far as like how we think for success. But for me, it's like balance kind of corrodes me because I have to swing more to one side. But for you, it's like, I look at you and I'm just like absolutely dialed, and you can just like live both to the fullest and have a great time.
Yeah, but again, like if you try to do that, it's not true to who you are. People wouldn't resonate with you as much. And so you're just being fully authentic with who you are. And because of that, people, one, they can tell that you're about it. And then that's why they come to you. But if you try to do what I was doing and I try to do what you're doing, it wouldn't work. I wouldn't be happy.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is like, after I had, I think November I did like 4K. And then December I did like 8K. And like right after that, I'm like, yo, I'm gonna go get an apartment downtown San Diego. My rent's like $3,600. Like, plus I have a bunch of other.
I told you, I was like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, I have like a bunch of other bills to pay and whatnot. Like I have a pretty high monthly expense with everything that I do, and I have like a certain standard of living that I want to have. And so
you just can't back down.
Well, I like that pressure where I'm like, dude, I'm gonna figure this out. Like I'm not making that much right now, but I know I'm gonna make it work. And then that month I did, I think like 32K or something.
Yeah. And I remember I told you the same way. It was almost like with like the VSL and the stuff that you were doing. You're like, yeah, but like, I want to make 50K, and I was like, hold, and it was just boom, 8K to 30 something K. Yeah, which is super super cool. And I mean, I think it's amazing how you've come in and you've crushed it so fast. But when it comes to like what I was trying to get at earlier when I asked you that, when you said the content is so important, is I was the same way. Like I thought I was good at sales when I started closing big deals because I was taking like so many reps, and like I was decent, but like I didn't have any like crazy frameworks. And now that I have some killer sales guys, and they're way better than me, which again, every business owner, like to take it to the next level, you have to hire people that are better than you, and you have to drop your ego and actually entrust someone else with that. But they're absolute killers. They're super great guys. They care about everyone in the program. You know them. But they showed me that like, oh, I actually am not as good at sales as I thought, and it just reinforced the fact that the content is the biggest part of the sales process. What do you think you do on a daily basis that allows you to almost pre-sell them to where like you don't even have to? I mean, it ends up being just a confirmation call where you get them to confirm everything that they've done, verbally state this, and then you show them the program and you onboard them, and it's like, it's not an easy $6,000, but the people that, our fitness coaches know, it's like your 30-minute call, you make $6,000. You obviously have to fill an amazing product, or you're going to have disputes to deal with and all of these things. But it's like you get off and it's just like, oh my gosh, I can literally talk to my phone every single day, have people come in, book calls with me, and pay me thousands of dollars for a fitness program. What's your biggest in your head where you're like, if I do this on a daily basis, this is what's going to bring me the most clients?
I think at the end of the day, it just comes down to consistency. Like, the more that you can show up consistently and you can show your habits and whatever you're preaching, because what I've found is that, like, essentially guys, they're looking up to me. They want to be similar to me, whether it's my physique, my lifestyle, my discipline, my habits. And if I'm not showing that, if that's not on display, there's no reason that they're going to come to me. And so I've been doing 100 push-ups a day for a while. I just, I never posted about it. Started filming it it's the first story I post every single morning. Sharing like the food that I eat, the consistency that I have with that, the workouts that I do, the runs that I do. And by showing up consistently every single day, on top of that, like with the reels every single day, like that's how I got better at making reels. If I didn't do that, I would not be, there's a lot of reels that, because I was posting every single day, there's some days where I'm like, I don't know what to post. I don't know what to post. And had I not had the conviction of doing it every single day, I wouldn't have posted. But some of those reels that were last minute, or just like, I didn't think we're going to do very well, popped off.
End up being the best ones.
Popped 100%. Off. Like, got me a good amount of clients. And I think that just speaks to like the importance of showing up day in and day out. And taking at bats. Like, so.
Because sometimes it connects, and like literally, like you said, like my aggression talk number 7, like that was just another day of like, showing up to my 80 subscribers, got 160,000 views on a 30-minute video of me in the car with my shirt off yelling. I never would have known that, but it was just sheer consistently showing up every day. But something that's sparked my mind off of you saying that is, you messaged me the other day and you're like, I finally understand what you're talking about with the stories, and I feel like I have it unlocked. You said that, and you've already made $100,000 and you're 6 months in. What allowed you to understand that? That way, any other fitness coaches out there can, like, maybe apply that exact same thing. Like, we had multiple calls, you'd gotten better, you'd made a bunch of, money, you've made all these videos, and you've been doing the system for a long time. What clicked to make you feel like you finally grasped every angle of what I was talking about with showing up in the stories daily?
I think, like, for me, the key driver was talking about a specific client that I had, and not the transformation that they had, but their story, what they were struggling with, what we implemented, what they look like now, what they were doing wrong. And so speaking just directly to a single individual ends up resulting in me speaking to thousands of my followers that are going through the exact same issues. And I've hopped on sales calls where guys are literally like, bro, I feel like you were talking directly to me. And at that point, like, I already know it's on lock if I'm on the call with them. And so before, I was just too generic. And like, we even talked about it before, where like, I like care. I don't want to upset people. I like making people happy. And so I was never super opinionated. I'd keep it kind of generic and like just try and give general advice and direction. And you told me, you're like, dude, no, you got to be like very specific with your method and why you do it and why it's better than the other methods. Because you believe it. That's why you do it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be doing it. And so that was like a month ago. When you told me that, I just started immediately implementing
when you came to
it.
the mastermind.
Started immediately implementing it. And then like that 2 weeks after that, or like a week and a half after that, that's when I did like the 30K week or whatever it was. It literally felt like I was driving a car and I knew exactly when I was pushing the gas. Like, and I know what that feeling's like now, where like, if I need to, I can double down on the gas. And like, that's a cool feeling. And so not being afraid to have an opinion and like pissing people off, like you're not going to make everyone happy. And I've learned that. And as a result, it ends up making you a lot more money.
Yeah, 100%. And it's the whole thing where I try to get everyone too, but it's like we had brought that up multiple times, like in talking before. I'm like, oh, you gotta, be convicted about this. You have to be controversial and all of these things. But it wasn't until you got to, let's say 6th gear, when I repeated it again, that you finally had the skill to actually grasp what I was talking about. And for all you coaches out there, it's like the whole entire thing is, saying, oh, you can do it this way or you can do it this way doesn't make people want to buy from you. Bennett does 100 push-ups every single solitary day. He'll drink on the weekends. He, isn't waking up at 4 a.m. every single solitary day. He's eating an animal-based diet all the time. He has these things that he's big on, and he has things that he's not big on, and he's created his own method, but you can't serve it like, oh, you can pick and choose things from what I do. It's like, no, I do this. This is the only reason that it works, and if you want to get results the way that I do, and you watch my routine every single solitary day, and you start to build that authority in their head, then it's like Bennett is constantly preaching now, you have to do it this way. It's my way or the highway, and that's how you have to make content, because that makes people want to adopt your own methods, and then they'll create their own. But it's like the same exact thing with mine. You have your own style now, but I was like, no. There's no like, oh, you can pick and choose, and like you don't, you're not posting talking heads. Like you have to do this thing in the beginning, and then you can build from it. And I think that it's you've done such a good job of doing it, but it's just there's a massive lesson in that it's like sometimes you hear information and you have to hear it 5 or 6 times, or you have to get good enough before you can actually apply it.
Yeah, no, and again, too, going back where it's like, that was finally the experience that I had, that after hitting all the reps, it finally clicked for me. Mm-hmm. So like, again, that's why I'm excited to go back and go through your course and see all these things that I missed the first time.
Yeah.
Because it's just going to allow me to apply more gas to the engine. So like, I'm excited for that.
Yeah. The new program is going to be super, super, super sick. And I mean, that's one of the biggest things for me is it's like, bro, I look at you as like one of my good friends now, and we didn't even know each other like a year ago. And it's sick. And this is only the second time we've hung out, but it feels like we've spent so much time together and you probably feel like you've even known me longer because you were watching my content before, you knew who I was. But this is something that like I never would have experienced things like this if I took the normal route. And if, we just were like, oh yeah, let's listen to what other people thought. And I just think for anyone out there who's like, oh, is this a business model that's going to last? Is this something that's like, yes, it's going to last? We're literally just in the dark ages of making content. In 20 years, every single solitary person's business, all the successful businesses will have to do with social media in some way, shape, or form. This is not something that it's like, oh, I saw this comment on one of my videos and it was like, if the internet goes down, these people are screwed. It's like, well, so is every single solitary business that we have today. Like, it's almost as important as like the oxygen that we breathe for people's businesses, because everything is run through the internet.
It doesn't even matter if it goes down, because like you already have all the skills and the work ethic that you're gonna figure out the next thing and make it work. It's not predicated on the vehicle that you're in.
100%.
Like you're gonna figure it out.
100%. And then once you learn the skills, it's always applicable. I mean, every investment I've ever made in some type of thing online has served me way better than a college degree ever would. And I feel like you probably the only thing that I feel like college could possibly be good for is, maybe having some experiences if you value that, maybe making some connections and some friends. But like, do you feel like from your degree, you learned things that directly translated into you making a bunch of money?
I didn't learn a single thing. Maybe like in some of my finance classes with investing, but like,
but that's once you have money.
Exactly. But like the best education that I had in college is my fraternity.
Yeah.
Like learning how to socialize, learning how to like throw events, get people there, like doing like risk management, talking to the cops.
Yeah.
Like all of these small little details,
yeah,
like served me in my life now. Because a lot of business too is about relationships and your ability to like, again, be authentic, listen to people, like know how you can help them, look to serve first before you ask. And it's funny because like I would have loved to have a 4-year head start and just gone straight into business, but I had no idea what I wanted to do. Like it was good for me to go through that experience, but yeah, college didn't teach me anything school related. And that's partially because of the path that I took, but I think anybody watching this video is on the same exact path where like school is not the route for them. They're going to learn through their personal relationships, their work ethic. It's not going to necessarily be from the amount of knowledge that they have.
100%. So closing with that, let's say young Bennett, 21 years old, and fresh out of high school, let's say he's not going to go to college, or he's in college, and let's say you're deciding, you know what, this is the only time where I'm going against my dad's principles and I'm going to just drop out. And he wants to be a fitness coach. No, like without the solar, without the pest control, knowing what you know now. Let's say if you could have a FaceTime call with him, and this is your only chance to give him the advice that he needs to become you. And if he veers off track, the you now disappears. Like he never accomplishes that. Yeah. What are you going to tell him in order that he can use those things to become successful?
It's a good question.
Yeah, it's deep.
The first immediate thing that came to mind, because I'll have people in my DMs ask me, and I'll look at their profile, and I'm like, dude, like, I would not buy fitness coaching from you. I don't know who's buying fitness coaching from you. So first thing is you have to actually look the part. And what I tell people is, like, people should be asking you advice about health, about fitness, before that's even your job.
For sure.
Right? Otherwise, that's probably not suited for you. If people aren't asking you questions.
People aren't asking you questions
for free, why is someone going to pay you for that?
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. Like, you got to be dialed in that aspect. You got to, like, actually be educated.
You don't have to look like an IFBB pro.
Not at all.
But people, you need to have competence as to how to look good.
100%. Yeah. You got to have passion for it. You got to be able to talk about it, like, for hours on end.
Yeah.
Just for fun.
Yeah.
That's first. Like, if you don't look the part.
Yeah, you're cooked.
Yeah. Second thing is just, it relates back to work ethic and having the at-bats, not being afraid to look stupid, putting out the content, not being afraid of judgment. And, like, something that you told me early on in the beginning that helped a lot was, before my social media was for my personal life. I was posting for my friends. Like, I did a little bit of recruiting with my last job, but not to the level that I should have been. It was mostly just for friends. And when I first started posting, I was just so concerned about what other people would think, what I was doing. And what you said that, like, really, really stuck with me was, every decision that you make for your Instagram and what you're doing now is a business decision. The reason you're doing this is to make money. You're not doing this to impress your friends. You're not doing this to look cool. You're doing this to make money. And that really, like, helped flip the switch for me, on top of the, like, proclamation of saying this is what I'm doing now. And so not being afraid to post reels every single day, not be afraid to post in the stories and sharing my thoughts. I remember the first time, dude, I shared, like, a talking story about my thoughts. I think it was on, like, a book. Like, I was scared. I thought people were going to think I was an idiot, or like that my thought about it was just not relevant. And it's all of these fears that, sure, they're, like, real, but the magnitude that we give them is way, way, way bigger than reality. And so learning to put that aside and just showing up every single day, putting that content out.
Well, to tie a bow onto that, you remember when you posted your first, like, Ask Me Questions Q&A on your story, and you got, like, 1 or 2, and you're like, bro, like, I only got, like, 2. What do I do? And I was like, answer them and watch how many more people start asking you questions. And you posted the 1 or 2, and it like quadrupled the amount of people that were asking you. And that was, like, the very first lesson where it's like, oh, I see. I do the rep first, and then I'm able to have the feedback. Because if you sit there and you're like, oh man, what do I do? It's like, if you would have just continued on the path and you would have posted, you would have figured that out on your own. Right. So it's like, that's one way that I myself feel like we both learned of, like, okay, there's no mistakes I can make. It's like, okay, so what if 2 people only ask you questions? If you post them, that's when you can actually, that's when the next step lights its way in front of you.
And then I'd say, like, the final thing, which, like, it's almost rhetorical, but I would hire a coach.
Yeah. That's
like,
that's sick.
It's just a hack. It's like, there's no reason, like, you got to put your ego aside and be like, there's obviously things that these people who've already stepped on all these landmines before me, they know. You gave the analogy of, like, you've been through the maze, you know which ways are dead ends, and you're just illuminating the way, saying, hey, go this way. Yeah. And so
it's like, you still have to run. I can't run for you.
Yeah.
And you still have to climb over the obstacles, but the most valuable thing is having someone in your ear being like, oh, no, dead end that way, go to the right. This is how you get over that obstacle, because you get the feedback loop. And I think the maze is the moat around success, where a lot of people, they hire a coach and they, use that to get through the maze, or they try on their own, and through sheer effort and a lot more time they make it through the maze. It's a lot fewer of them. Or people go in and they go through 3 dead ends and then they just give up. And it's like, well, you weren't able to grasp success. Everyone can have it. It's not like the maze is only for select people. Everyone can make it through. It's like, will you be persistent enough to have it? I mean, I feel like there's a lot of people that think it's like so corny to hire a coach, but I wouldn't be here, in 3 years making, hundreds of thousands of dollars a month if I didn't hire coaches. And again, like we said, it's like, I probably still would have been successful. Same with you, but would you have been there that fast? Probably not. And it saves so much failure and time and effort to have that feedback as to what you're doing.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't know why people have that ego when it comes to coaches. Cause it's like, I'd always give the comparison of looking at like Olympic athletes or LeBron, Jordan, like Kobe. They have coaches too. They're constantly getting trained, whether it's in the weight room, whether it's with their skills, whether it's just like the actual game plan. They're constantly getting coached. You need to have like a third person perspective on what you're actually doing because your perception isn't always accurate. And so you need to have people telling you like how to course correct.
I think people, they value the 10 grand in their bank account more than the time it's going to save them and the skills it's going to build, because money comes back to you. Everything is an investment. And it's like you either invest a ton of time, which the more money you make, you realize that time is the thing I want to save. I'll spend any amount of money to save time in specific things. Like, why do I pay $100 every single, like multiple times a day to valet up front? Because I don't want them to take my car. I don't want them to maybe scratch my rim and me have to pay for that. All these like hypotheticals, I'd rather just pay the money for it and do it. And it's the same thing. But the poorest people in the world, they're like, oh, I need this. They want security rather than to save time and learn more information. It's like $10K sitting in your bank account, all it does is provide you security. But $10K deployed against information, even if it's the worst investment ever, it's still direct feedback as to what to do differently and how you can navigate better.
You know what's funny?
What?
The only hesitancy I ever had before signing up with you, I was so sold.
Yeah.
On everything. Then you finally sent me the price, and I was like, this is way too cheap. I'm like, is this a scam? This is way too cheap. Like, for the deliverables that you have, and like, I think it was like make $12K a month in 5 months or something.
Yeah.
And then you sent me the price, and I was like, why is this so cheap? And I remember immediately I'm like, bro, you got to up your prices. Like, this is insane. And
which I have.
Yeah, you have. You definitely have.
But there's way more deliverables that we give now.
Well, I still think it's too cheap, honestly. Yeah. Like, because if you just like with like my finance background, where I'm like, dude, if you could have a stock, and you said, hey, if you put like 10 grand in here, it's gonna start making you 10 grand a month every single month for the next, like, forever, basically.
But it's going to take you 4 months before it breaks even. It's like, that's still the best investment ever you could ever make.
Like, there's never a doubt that you would ever not put your money in there. Like, 100%, you're going to take that every single time. Yeah. If you can get an 8% return, you're stoked. You're like, oh, every single year, 8%.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I mean, seeing what you're able to do and all the deliverables, and, like, immediately once I was onboarded, I'm like, I knew it was legit, and I already saw your results and whatnot, which is why obviously I sent you the money. But I was just like, how is he only charging this much to teach me the skill set? So I'm happy that you've upped your prices, and I still think they're too low.
Yeah.
But I get that, like, people don't have access to that much money, and there's people out there that are hungry and want to learn, and it's been cool to see what you've been able to do and the people that you've been able to help, and as you've done that, it's grown your business, and so. Like,
well, vice versa, dude. I mean, it's all the time. It's such a blessing that I see. Like, I posted on my story today, the Master Shifu and Tai Lung from Kung Fu Panda, and it's like the best mentors, the people that they coach will be better than them. And me and George, my business partner, we talk all the time. It's like, he's like, oh, Bennett's going to pass you. And I'm like, yeah, I think he's going to be one of the biggest guys in the fitness space ever. And I'm like, to me, that's the most purpose-driven thing. I think there's a lot of people that they want to be exalted more. And it's like, I think it shines on me if you make way more money than I've ever made, or you get way more followers than I ever have, then it's like, that just means that I'm a better mentor. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, it's super, super sick. It's like that quote, I think is from like Newton, and he's like, if I'm able to see farther, it's standing on the shoulders of giants. It's like, dude, like, I want to be that for someone else, because there's a bunch of people like, Hermosi, Cardone, all these people didn't have themselves to watch when they were younger. And I think that we're going to be the next generation. And like to think about that, especially to know that we're in the beginning of the digital age, and to think like, I think that in 25 years, kids in middle school will like do projects and like research like the digital age where there's 20-year-olds making millions of dollars,
Yeah.
you know, because at no time in history ever have kids, I mean, even your age, like had access to, you know, funds like this and this abundant and been able to make money from their phone. And we were talking earlier, it's like, is it hard work? Yeah. It's not easy, but in the scheme of things, it's like so simple. And compared to what else you would have to do to make, like, you're literally making a doctor's salary of someone who went to school for 10 or 12 years and sacrificed all of their life just to be on call 24/7 and be an old grade doctor. And you're just living for a living because of an investment you made in 5-6 months that you put into my program.
Yeah.
Which is amazing to see, bro.
That's the thing. I kind of reverse engineered what I wanted. Like I figured out what I wanted my day to look like. I want to be able to work from anywhere. I want to be able to go work out in the middle of the day, like work from a coffee shop. And then I was like, well, what can I do that can allow that? And then came across you and everything clicked out. But it's funny because I have like a similar but opposite perspective as you, where I'm like, my goal is to make you as much money as possible. Like every single time I get a win or like I have like a big week, I like screenshot it, send it to you. I'm like, bro, I hope this gets you 20 more clients.
I appreciate that.
Because it's like it's a symbiotic relationship. Like the more you help me, the more I'm able to help you. And then the more people in the community win. Like it's not a zero sum game. Like everybody can win. And you talk about that too, where like it's not, the market is not, what's the word? Like,
they just don't prioritize clients because like, okay, here's the thing. It's like,
no, like there's room for everybody.
Oh,
like
100%. The market is not saturated.
Yeah,
it's the reason it seems like it's saturated is because it's such a good product, but saturated markets are the best markets to go into because all they do is uplift the winners. You just have to believe in your mind that you can become a winner. But literally any retard can make 10 to 15K a month from their phone. And I say all the time, like, to make, like, Bennett's a maniac like me. He's obsessed. And I hope a lot of you guys, especially if you follow me, you should be obsessed. I don't know why you're subscribed to me on YouTube if you're not obsessed with, you know, becoming better. But it's like, to make, you know, 50K a month, like, you got to be pretty, like, a maniac. You have to love it. But it's like, I live, sleep, eat, and breathe this. And, you know, you do the same, even though you were in club space this morning. What are you doing? You're making stories to post on your Instagram.
I'm working, bro.
Exactly.
I'm working.
You're living for a living. So it's super sick. And it's like, here's the thing. It's like, oh, you could have paid me and I could have, you know, probably delivered a product that was 30% as valuable. And you'd have been like, oh, okay, it's like a decent investment. But I try to over deliver and make you feel like you got way more than you paid for because you're going to continue to serve my best interest. And I think a lot of guys, they're just worried about collecting that payment up front. But I'm like, yo, if I put all my effort into, you know, Bennett, then he's going to continue to want to also pour his results into me so that I can continue to benefit. And I think this is the same model you would do with your clients. People are going to keep buying from you. They're going to be word of mouth. You know, you sold a couple friends in the beginning. They told other friends. Everything's great. Your client, Hudson, he's absolutely killing it. His kid's making $100,000 a month as a mobile detailing coach. And, you know, he's telling other people about it. He's reposting it on his story. It's like, it's super, super sick. So it's like, it's a massive blessing to see that you've been successful so quickly. And, bro, I genuinely believe you're going to be one of the biggest guys in the fitness space, even if you don't even, like, want the fame. I think it's going to happen naturally just because people are so attracted to your work ethic and the story that you have, bro. So I'm stoked.
I appreciate it, bro. Thank you.
So as we close, if people want to find you, Instagram, YouTube, where can they find you?
Yeah, Instagram's Bennett Luke. YouTube's Bennett Luke HF.
Okay, and if people want to learn more, like, about your program, what's the best thing to do?
Shoot me a DM.
Shoot you a DM?
Yeah.
Watch the link in your bio first or shoot you a DM?
I mean, yeah, watch link. I mean, if you're already ready to rock, just shoot me a DM. But if
Yeah.
you want to learn more about me, more about my story, check
Yeah.
out my YouTube, watch the VSL.
Yeah.
It's linked in my bio. You'll be able to, it's 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Easy.
Let's go. Let's go. Killer. As always, boys, I love you guys. Stay tuned for the next one. Stay aggressive. Peace out.